In parts of Ohio, we have this thing called e-check, where every 2 years before you can get your license plate renewed, you need to go get your vehicle inspected for emissions. Okay, and I'm showing you this because this has been one of my complaints about this program. Not that I want them to do it more often, but you can see I passed this on the 25th of November 2024, and everything is pass, so I'm in compliance. Okay, so I was out December 23rd, so not quite a month after I passed the e-check, and I've already applied for my new license plate sticker. And I get in the vehicle after I stopped at a rest stop on the Ohio Turnpike.
He joined back on November.
Well, I don't know if you can hear it well enough, but there's a definite exhaust leak, and that would have caused me to fail had I waited. As soon as I got the notice, I went and got it e-checked. So I'm going to put this on the lift, and we're going to find out what's leaking under there. So full disclosure, I just wanted to make this video so I could rant about the EPA and their emissions check that they only put in a couple counties that they've had for 20 years. And I'll get back to that. This is the head of the bolt that was screwed on here. And like I said, I've already looked at this, so I knew whenever I started this video that what had happened is the two bolts that go through the flange here came loose. So one of the heads, the one I showed you, was still stuck on this flange here. I think this is the hole right here. And I went to put a 3/8" socket on it because it was all rusted. I didn't know what size it really was. I suspect it was metric. But as soon as I tried to put the socket on it, it came off. So I don't expect that I'm going to have too much trouble punching what's left of the bolt out of the other side of the flange. I don't believe it's threaded in there, but we are going to find out. I got my air hammer. There. And I'm going to try to, I can't go through the hole because the hits, so I'm going to have to pull it away a little bit and try to punch it out. I thought that would have popped that by now. No real easy way to get this exhaust pipe down. What I might have to do is get something that fits through that and change to the hammer head on the air hammer here and try it that way so I can get a more direct shot at it. So I'm going to shut the camera off and go get that set up. So I've got two things to try. I've got a square piece of metal rod. Got the hammerhead on the air hammer. see if I can put that up in there and get the hammer on it and drive it out. Hoping this isn't threaded in there, but I looked online last night and found a replacement, and it didn't have a threaded bolt in it. I shouldn't say bolt. I should say that the flange was not threaded. This does feel like it has a nut on the other side now. I guess it could be welded on there. You know what? This bottom flange looks like it's maybe loose now. Maybe I can get the other bit up in there. Let's try this one more time. Hope I don't have to drill that out. Anyways, back to my rant about the EPA, and they only do it in a few counties in Ohio. So if I lived 20 miles further south, maybe 30, I wouldn't have to go to the E-check at all. And people who drive down, they pollute just as much as I do. Maybe even more. They might be driving longer distances. And I don't feel like it does a whole lot of good because, as you saw from my inspection report, I passed, and that means that this Jeep is good until my birthday in February of 2027. So if this were something that was setting off a check engine light, I could ignore it for a little over 2 years. But once the government gets something like that started, it's never going away. They've tried to fight it a couple times and always seem to lose. Okay, so I got the first one out. It is just a bolt or something pressed in there. And when I got the flange rotated out of the way and I could get the air hammer in there, and I turned up my air a little bit, and I just put it in there and blasted it out. And I didn't even see that one come out, but it's out. Yep, they're both hot. So now all I need to do is get this flange loose again. Put a couple bolts through there, tighten her up. And I'm going to shut the camera off before I do that and find where that little piece of that bolt went, because I don't want to be driving over it and getting it in a tire. So this right here is what was in there. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but that shaft of that thing does have splines on it, so you can't turn it. It was pressed in. Since I don't have those, what I have found for myself in my nuts and bolts bin is a 7/16, looks to be 1.5 inch long nut, bolt, and lock washer. I've already put the one in that you can see. I'm going to put the other in from the other side, and then I'll be tightening them, and we'll be done. Unfortunately, I've got this light shining in my eyes. I can't see what I'm doing. But I'm going to be using a 5/8 inch wrench to hold the top of the bolt, and I have an 11/16 deep socket on a 3/8 inch drive ratchet to tighten from the bottom. So, as I said, once I put these in, I mean, this isn't really rocket science as far as getting this to fit, getting it bolted in, I should say, because once it's in, there are no moving parts. Now, since it's a two-sided thing, I'll tighten a little bit on one side, then a little bit on the other to draw it up evenly. I can see, but I'm looking at the edge of the flange here so that I'm not getting it too out of whack as I'm tightening it. I don't want one side much closer than the other. I just want them to fit nicely. That's getting pretty tight, but we'll see. And I don't like the light off here. It wouldn't be the first time that lights hit the ground. It's a nice feature of LEDs. They don't break like an incandescent. If you have an incandescent bulb burning and you drop it, that bulb is toast. Okay, so it would appear like I'm going to have a cheap repair, just a couple of hours to figure out, you know, how to do it, find some bolts that would work, and that is rock solid. So unless on a very, very slim chance that I start it and it's making noise, this repair is done. Thanks for watching. Hope you've learned something that might be useful. Have a nice day. Oh, by the way, I didn't say when I was doing this. I'm doing this 2 days after Christmas. So it's December 27th. And like I said, I got this thing e-checked November 24th. And, you know, I wonder how many cars go in, get their e-check pass, and fail within a short period of time. And you do have the option of not fixing it for 2 years. Now, the other part of that I didn't mention before is I think today with the check engine light, most people, that check engine light comes on and they're taking their car in to get it fixed. So the way they do the e-check is they put an OBD2 scanner on it, basically to make sure that you don't have any fault codes. That's all they do. They don't use the tailpipe sniffer like they did with the OBD1s. They just rely on if all of the sensors are working and everything, you're good. So, in my opinion, most people nowadays have cars that are modern and have OBD2. And if something goes wrong, they get it fixed. So I drive 40 miles round trip with all my cars that require it every 2 years. And that's a trip that I wouldn't even be making. So since I have never failed, all of those trips I made to get it inspected have been adding pollutants to the air that wouldn't have been there without this e-check program. So I'm not sure it does any good. So I like to rant about it. And, it gives me enjoyment. Okay, that's it for now.